Okay. Yeah. So hello everyone. Welcome to Legacy IAS. This is our Science and Tech Current Affairs lecture. Now, this is the first topic, that is drones are being used to detect virus in Arctic whales. Okay. This was an article in The Hindu. Now, let's see. So basically, first thing is, what is the recent discovery regarding Cretaceous morbilli virus? Now, first thing, we need to understand what are these Cretaceans. Now, so basically, if you look here, so the host, which is the Cretaceans, it affects Cretaceans that are marine mammals like whales, dolphins, and porpoises. So basically, these are what you know as fishes, okay, or in the technical terms they are mammals in the way that they cannot take oxygen from the oxygen that is dissolved in the water. So what they actually do, they come out every few minutes. So every few minutes, for some it is 5, for some it is 10, 12. Okay, so they will come out in every few minutes, and they will do what? After coming out, they will take breath. Okay, so they will first exhale like we exhale, correct? So they will first exhale and then they will inhale. Okay, now, so basically what scientists have found, now what is this mechanism? The entire mechanism is, so basically they exhale out used air and they inhale fresh air. This is what they do every few seconds. Now this they do using something called blowholes. Blowholes are like our nostrils. So using these blowholes, they do this kind of respiration. Now, what scientists observed was this. So basically, the mechanism that they employ here is, so basically what they do, now they don't, all these are very, very big whales and dolphins, they are very big fishes. So basically these mammals, they also exhale, but not like us. Our exhale, when we exhale, it is mostly air, it is does not have much things. But when they exhale, as you can see, this is all that comes out of whale. Now it has many different things. It has mucus that you have inside your nose, similar. It has mucus, it has air droplets, air or water droplets. So all that is there. Now in these mucus, whatever is coming out of its blowholes, everything, you can get the DNA, because DNA is present in every cell of our body, correct? So of course some cell, something, some mucus, something is coming out of here. So you can get DNA from this. Now this DNA can be used in analysis. Okay, so this DNA can be used in analysis of different types. Why? Because you're getting the DNA of whale with you and you can analyze them. Understood? Now, so using this analysis, what you can do, so if there are any disease spreading in these mammals, then you can identify the diseases, correct? Because if you know viruses, they change the DNA of an organism. Something gets added because of the viruses, so those changes in their DNA can be observed, and using this you can do disease diagnosis, as well as if you want to do just general health, how is their health, what are the different processes they take up. Okay, so all that can be done using this. Okay, now this was also a 2020 question in which it was written, which of the following can be done by drones? One of the statements in it, others were different. One of the statements was that breath samples of whales for DNA analysis can be collected using drones. So yes, it can be. So they have petri dishes like this, and when this is all that is coming out, it will go with its petri dishes and collect something out of it, do DNA analysis, and can do a lot of research and understanding of these big mammals. Okay, then now see. So basically now see, so what they have found using this way or this technique of analysis, they have found the discovery of Cetacean mobile virus. So this is a Cetacean mobile virus. This is a specific type of virus found in Arctic waters for the first time. So this virus, this infects what? This infects cetaceans. Correct? These mammals, dolphins, whales, all these are infected by it. This particular virus. Now this virus was found in other places from a long time, but it was not found in the Arctic waters before. Now, for the first time, using this technique only of taking drones over it, they are able to find certain amount of these viruses infecting the whales and all these mammals in the Arctic waters. So this was the news, and this is all the underlying backstory that you need to know. Now, climate link. So suggests warming oceans are allowing pathogens to migrate into previously safe polar regions. So earlier polar regions were considered safe, correct? Now, because of such heating of the oceans or such heating, what is happening? All the fishes, all these dolphins, whales, all these that used to live in the temperate region, they are shifting. They are shifting towards the polar region, and that is an issue because they are shifting towards the polar region. Now whatever disease they were carrying in the equatorial or temperate region, that also goes to the polar region. Okay, then now something about the virus. So this belongs to morbillivirus, that is similar to measles in humans. Now what's its impact? So it attacks the respiratory or lungs and nervous or brain system of these mammals. Then outcome, historically responsible for mass strandings and large scale death of marine mammals. So basically their respiratory and nervous system gets affected by this virus, and this virus has led to a lot of mass strandings and even deaths. Now, strandings is a very important feature that they show. Now, we are not absolutely clear of why strandings happen, so we have found linking of stranding with many different factors. Now, what is stranding first of all? So you might have seen some shores in Japan and other countries where there are a lot of whales just lying on the ground, okay, and far from the sea, and they are not able to go back unless the sea comes and takes them back, which is very difficult. Why? Because they have come too far. Now, why this can happen? So basically, when whales or dolphins end up stuck on beaches or shallow waters and cannot return, causes include diseases. Some diseases, for example, this virus may cause them diseases because of nervous and all these breakdown. They won't be able to judge. Then navigation failures, okay. Then social behavior or human activities. These may be the reasons because of which they go to very deep shores or very deep land areas, and then they are not able to get back to the waters. In many cases they would die then and there over time, okay. Now, so this virus is also being linked to this property of mass strandings. Then next thing is, what are the key specific terms related to this research? So this has been already asked in 2022. Aerial metagenomics. Aerial metagenomics is what? So basically, like here you go above the sea and collect some DNA samples of these mammals blowing out or exhaling out air. Now, if you do this in a jungle, you go over a jungle and you start collecting breath samples of every organism that is present in the jungle, then you can essentially get the entire genomic structure or variations of that jungle. So this is what they do, collecting genetic material from air. Example, catching whale blow using drones. So this is called aerial metagenomics because you're doing this aerially and you're getting genomics, as in you're getting the DNA samples from it. Now, another term that is important is environmental DNA. That is traces of DNA, skin, mucus collected from water or air without capturing the animal. This is a very good way because this is non-intrusive. So earlier method of seeing that if whales are fine or if they are getting affected by some diseases used to be that you throw a dart towards them or shoot a dart towards them, and then that dart will take out some portion of their skin with it, and then you get the skin sample, the outer skin. In that you have DNAs, and then you can do analysis. But that is a very intrusive way. Instead, this is a much better way because it is non-intrusive. Then sentinel species, so animals like whales whose health serves as an early warning for ecosystem risk. So whales, dolphins, these are sentinel species. If something is happening to them, that means the ecosystem is getting destructed in some way, and you will start seeing effects on some other organisms as well in due course of time. Then pathogen spillover, this is the movement of virus to a new population. Example, Arctic animals due to environmental changes. As I explained you, those mammals moving to the Arctics and spreading this virus there. This is called pathogen spillover. These are the terms related to it. Then this is the next topic, which is ISRO issued AO on Aditya L1. Now, what is this? Aditya L1 you already know, correct? We have done this in current affairs also, classes also, everywhere. So Aditya L1 is India's solar mission, correct? Now, here what they have done, so basically this is announcement of opportunity. ISRO has done announcement of opportunity regarding Aditya L1. So what has happened? On the mission's second anniversary, ISRO invited Indian researchers to analyze solar data. So basically, they are now giving solar data that is being collected by Aditya L1 to everybody to analyze and come up with their own observations and researches. Okay. Action. So they released greater than 23 TB of mission data into the public domain, so that public or mainly researchers are able to find something out of it. Now, target is to involve scientists from universities and colleges beyond ISRO to maximize scientific output. Understood? So, this is the target. Very simple thing that they have done. Now, what are the key scientific parameters of Aditya L1 mission? Key scientific parameters. So, first thing, it is this L1. That is Lagrange 1. So it is located, like if here is Earth, then this is L1 point and this is Sun. So it is located between the Earth and the Sun. Now because Sun has much higher gravitational pull because it is a bigger body. So it is that is why it is at a larger distance and then also providing the same force. This is at a shorter distance and providing the same force. So at this point, if there is any satellite or anything, it will be stable because it is being pulled by same force in both the directions. So this is called Lagrange point 1. There are similarly 5 Lagrange points, different places where it becomes almost stagnant. That is, just in this part it can remain for a very long time because forces here are getting cancelled out. Then now, of course, with the movement of the Earth, this also will move. That is fine. But this position, as in this position, mostly will remain here. That is between Earth and Sun at this distance. These are fixed. Then, advantage, placed in a halo orbit, allowing continuous eclipse-free observation of the Sun. Because Earth is not there in between, so you get eclipse-free observation of the Sun. Then, instrument, it took 7 payloads, example VELC, SUIT. These are different kinds of radars and systems that they have taken, studying the solar corona, solar wind and magnetic fields. This is what it does. Then how does democratizing this data benefit India's scientific ecosystem? So of course, capacity building strengthens India's solar physics community by enabling academic research. Then application, it improves space weather forecasting, correct, because everybody is given this, critical for protecting satellite and power grids. Then global standing positions India as a frontline contributor alongside missions like Parker Solar Probe. Now of course, if they are making it public domain, then not just Indians, anybody in the world will be able to use this data. This is usually done by very big space organizations like ISRO, like NASA and all. Okay, so they keep doing this. So India is also doing this. For example, Parker Solar Probes data is available to everybody. Similarly, now Aditya 11 data will also be available. Understood? That's it for this topic. Then next is remote sensing technology. Then now let's see this. So basically, remote sensing technology. Now remote sensing actually works in two ways. First of all, what is remote sensing? So there are satellites that are doing observation of the surface of the earth. So these are satellites that are conducting observation of surface of the earth. Okay, now satellites doing observation of surface of the earth. Now it can be done in two ways. Okay, one way of doing this is the passive way and the other is the active way. What will be the passive way? Passive way is basically, see, sunlight is coming, correct? It is hitting the surface of the earth at different places, correct? Now this sunlight will be reflected in different ways by the buildings or by the trees or by the barren land, correct? So the reflections will be different, correct? This differential reflections is called spectral signature. So just like you have unique fingerprints, correct? Same way they will have unique spectral signature. Now, how the wave are being reflected will give you a lot of understanding. Which color wave, okay, at what frequency, all this data can be used in many different ways to understand which places, let's say, has trees, which place has buildings, which place has different things. Even in trees, which trees are greener, which trees are becoming yellow, all that details. So this is one way, that is using the sunlight, and this satellite is doing what? It is observing the reflection from the surface and getting the spectral signature out of it. Based on that, it does analysis. Now the other way is, now first let's just continue and complete this way. So basically what will happen? Sunlight is coming, reflection is there. Reflection is first of all observed by the satellite. Now whatever satellite observes, for example, it has different systems, okay, and based on that it is able to analyze that this was the frequency, this every detail it got. Then this satellite will relay it to the nearby antenna. This antenna will be connected to a computer analyzer, or computer will be sent to a computer for computer analysis. For example, to ISRO or Indian Meteorological Organization, all these organizations, they will get this data, and based on this data they will do analysis. Understood? So this is the pattern. This is how normal passive remote sensing satellite works. Now another term that is there is active remote sensing satellites. So this is passive because it is not doing anything, it is just doing observation. Now active remote sensing satellite will do something like this. So basically active remote sensing satellite will send its own wave and then see the reflection of this wave, observe the reflection of the wave, then the process will be same, but instead of relying on the sun, now it is itself sending some form of signals. So it is in itself sending signals and then receiving signals. This is called active remote sensing satellites. Understood? Now, by the way, what will be the advantage of active remote sensing satellite? What will be the advantage? Advantage will be, now sunlight is there only for 8 hours. Now in those 8 hours also, sometimes it is not that high, sometimes it is close, sometimes it is less for an area, correct? Now if the weather is cloudy, if there are clouds in between, now of course satellites are placed much above the clouds, correct? So if there are clouds, then this reflection of light won't be clear to this satellite, so that is also a problem, correct? Then there is constant obstruction, correct? So basically this is not a very good method. Of course this is much more economical, because anyway you are getting this signals from the sun and then you are just doing observation, correct? But this is not the most effective way, correct? Now what is more effective way? That you use some satellites that can send signals like this. Now example of this are lidar and radar. You might have read this term, lidar, radar, okay? So basically this will do what? Radio frequency synthetic aperture radar. So basically they are sending radio frequency waves. Similarly you will have light ones, so they will send light signals. Now if they are sending radio frequency signals, now the good thing is that they need not rely on the sun. So basically they can do it even at night, and because radio frequency can go through the clouds also, so it will not be stopped by the clouds also, understood? So they can go through the clouds also. So that is why active remote sensing satellites are much better, understood? But most of the satellites are in place for remote sensing. Most of the satellites that we have been placed many years ago around the world. So that is why they are mostly passive satellites, passive remote sensing satellites. Then now that you have understood the concept, now let's move forward. Yeah, so what is the fundamental scientific principle behind remote sensing? What is the scientific principle? So if you see the definition, mapping Earth's resources without physically contact using satellites or drones. This you understand as I explained you. Then mechanism, sensors detect electromagnetic energy, infrared, UV, whatever, reflected by objects, and based on that it does analysis. Then concept, every material has a unique spectral signature, correct? Just like you have fingerprints. Then example, healthy plants reflect near infrared light but absorb red light, okay? So this they are able to guess. Now I'll explain you how it works in different ways. Now see this, how is this technology applied to surface and subsurface resources? Now first see agriculture. In agriculture we have NDVI, okay? This is a method of measuring. Now checks crops health and forecast biomass using normalized difference vegetation index. So how it works, I'll explain you. So basically if the plants are healthy, now healthy plants will do what? Healthy plants usually look very green. Why they look very green? Correct, very green they look because they absorb most of the red component of the light. So sunlight is sort of white or composed of all colors. Now all the green part of it is completely absorbed by it. Then sorry, all the red part of it is completely absorbed by the healthy plants. That's why they look bright green. Now healthy plants also have a property. So they first of all absorb most red light. Now they have one more property, that is it reflects a lot of near infrared radiations. So it reflects a lot of near infrared radiations and absorb most of the red light. Because it absorbs most of the red light, that's why it looks very dark green to you. Infrared radiations of course you cannot see, but both of these can be observed by the satellites that we have up in the sky. Now Using this, what is the level of reflection of near infrared radiations? If it is more, then the plant is healthy. If it is less, then the plant is unhealthy. Based on this, they are able to guess if the crop that is you have in this particular field is growing well or not, or what kind of things that they might be facing, or some kind of diseases that they might observe. So all this can be done using this. Understood? Now this, what I'll be telling you here is very basic things. Now of course this is very basic, correct? Just observing the near infrared radiations, just observing what color it is reflecting, correct? Now of course this technology has been there for many decades now. So of course they have made it much more advanced. So from there, from the satellite itself, they can tell a lot about the soil composition, even that this soil is lacking moisture, this soil might be losing some, might have deficit of nitrogen or phosphorus, all that based on analysis of pictures only. So they have developed it to a very large scale. Then see, water and oil, this students get confused by. So basically they are using SAR or radars, sees through clouds to map floods or oil spills. Now gravity measures gravity changes to it. Okay, now see, one thing that student get confused by, that how it will observe anything that is subsurface. See, on the surface you understand that on the surface you get that it will see the reflection, even if it is sending waves or directly of the sun rays, does not matter, it will reflect from the surface, that you understand. Now how does it tell anything about, for example, it tells about mineral exploration also. Okay, it can even tell you about groundwater levels. So all this can also be found out by using these satellites. Now how does that work? So basically how subsurface technology works. So basically these scientists are very clever. So what they do for subsurface analysis. Now of course there are waves, for example microwave waves can go little deep inside the ground also, and then you can see the reflection, but this is still minute, still very small. Now most of the one thing is they can go little inside the earth and then get some information, that is fine, one way. The other more important way is they make observations on surface to guess what you will have in the subsurface. This is what they do. They make observations on the surface to guess what you will have on the subsurface. For example, if they find that the rocks at the top are anticline in nature. Now if they are anticlines in nature, there is much more chances of them holding, for example, oil or crude oil deposits, correct? While if the rocks on the above are of this shape, they are less likely, because similar structure will be there deep inside the earth also, and this will be less likely to contain any amount of crude oil. So this is one way. Other way is what they do. So there is constant leakages, correct? Let's say if this is the ground, this is oil or water, then there are constant leakages because of which it comes on the surface. So now that amount is very minute, that you cannot even understand or feel. Okay, but these satellites, because of all the data that they have for such long years, they are able to identify even this small quantities of oil spills or water spills, and based on all these techniques they analyze the subsurface also. Then okay, so this is done. Then we come to how this technology is applied to surface and subsurface. This is done. See, mineral hyperspectral sensors detect faint chemical traces of minerals on or below the surface. Okay, then this is about India's remote sensing missions. Now see, so agency, this is managed by ISRO. Okay, then inception, this is launched by IRS 1A in 1988. This is first operational remote sensing satellite that we launched. Then status, today India operates one of the largest constellations of remote sensing satellites in the world. Okay, we have largely, ISRO has largely focused on remote sensing because it has direct application in every field. Okay, so we have done a lot of launches in this field. Now, so this is when our Indian remote sensing journey started. Now, some major passive remote sensing satellites that we have. Passive, you have understood now, which are, they detect natural sunlight reflected. Correct? Then key series, see, resource set. Just remember the names. They can give you name anytime and then you will have to guess what they do. So resource set, resource analysis, correct? So they are for remote sensing. Similarly, cartoset, you might have heard of cartographic maps. Okay, so again, high resolution images and everything. So cartosat. Then ocean sat, correct? Observing the ocean. All these are what? These are passive remote sensing satellites. By the way, most remote sensing satellites, passive, active, whatever, will be in which orbit? Huh? It will be in almost most of the cases, they will be in the polar orbits. Why polar orbits? Because first of all, it is near Earth, so there will be clearer resolution of videos and images. So there will be clearer resolution. Correct? Polar orbits. Now, if you send it to geostationary orbit and all, it will be too far. So the images and everything won't be clear. Understood? Then, so ocean set monitors ocean color, marine biology, all this. Then, next is, which satellites fall under the active remote sensing category? So active remote sensing, you understand? Then RESAT, this is radar imaging satellite. This uses synthetic aperture radar for all weather surveillance. This is RESAT 1A. Then NISAR. NISAR is one that we launched last year. Very important. Okay, this is NISAR. NASA ISRO synthetic aperture radar. Very simple. Now, upcoming joint mission with NASA, that is not upcoming anymore. So this is a joint mission with NASA. It will send dual frequency radar for tracking land deformations. Actually, it has much wider application in almost all the fields. As I told you, NISAR is getting more data than NASA has got in all these years of its existence, in just 3 years. So NISAR is a very big program. Of course, NISAR is also sending signals from its side and then seeing the reflections of it. So RESAT and NISAR are the active remote sensing satellites that we have. That's it. That's it. Now, next thing, this is Empabe effect. So basically, this is a weird effect. Now, this was observed long ago, but now we have found, our Indian scientists have found some proof of it. Okay, first understand the effect. So what is this effect and why it is currently in the news? So scientists at this particular institution in Bangalore used supercomputers to solve a centuries old physics mystery. Now, what is this mystery? The phenomena that it is the counterintuitive observation where hotter water freezes faster than colder water. Now, our general understanding is what? That anything that is hot will start losing energy, then become cold, and then it keeps losing energy, eventually it will freeze. or become ice, correct? Now, what has been empirical observations is that this warm water is actually freezing first before the cold water. Now, this was observed first it was noted by Aristotle, and then it was named after this Empape, this scientist who rediscovered it in the 1960s. Okay, so now you understood the phenomena. That is the most important thing for us, that is know what this phenomena is, that is know the phenomena. Now whatever I am telling you next, that is why it happens and all that, is of course there are scientific evidence showing that that is correct, but there is still some doubts that are remaining, so it is not complete or factual science as yet. Okay, now see. So basically, how did Indian scientists scientifically explain this paradox? So what they explained is, see, water does not freeze directly. It passes through intermediate molecular states. Okay, these are called metastable states. Now, so basically what they are saying that, yeah, so they are saying that water does not go from, like, if there is hot water or cold water, now this hot water does not directly become ice, correct? So there are many more stages in between, when it is slightly ice, when it is this ice, that bond breaks, that bond, all those things happen, correct, so as to get to this crystalline structure. So there are many metastable states in between. Now the thing is that cold water often gets trapped in these intermediate states for longer duration. Now, these meta states, now of course, this ice conversion is fine, but the meta states that are there in between, there cold water is somehow stuck, or it takes more time in those conversion from one meta state to another, while hot water has higher energy, allowing it to bypass these delays and reach the nucleation or freezing stage quicker. So this has been the observation, that these meta states, that is states in between, cold water is taking much more time to cross them, hot water is bypassing many of them because of higher energy and getting to the freezing part of it quicker. That's it. Result, hot water takes shortcut to becoming ice. Just this very general understanding is what we need. Just knowing what it is, what this effect is, and why it might be caused. So just in one line, these metastates are being crossed by hot water much faster than cold water. That's it. No need of anything else. Then, what are the practical applications of this technology? So, this improves the design of cooling systems and thermal control in next generation electronics. Correct. Then scientific scope proves the effect applies to other fluids, not just water. So this, what they did with their supercomputers, they were able to identify this metastate, that metastate, and they were able to simulate this and show that whatever was proposed by Aristotle and then this Mbappe is coming out to be exactly true. And there are some metastates that the hot water is crossing much faster than cold water. Now, they not only showed this for water, but for some other liquid also. Okay, so this is what they have done. So this marks a breakthrough in non-equilibrium physics. Okay, now how system change states rapidly. So basically, the main use will be in making improved designs of cooling systems, cooling and thermal systems, because now we understand cooling of water or any liquid much better using this effect. Of course, more research papers and lot of citations, lot of everything has to go, so that we get this as a proper science of improving something. Okay, but this is a very good breakthrough. Then last is this asteroid Bennu and origins of life. So this is Osiris Rex. Now, so basically, asteroid Bennu, why it is in news? So scientists analyzed samples brought back by NASA's Osiris Rex mission. Now, Osiris Rex mission is a mission by NASA to an asteroid. So asteroids are what? What are present between Mars and Jupiter, correct? All those celestial bodies, that are present between Mars and Jupiter. Those are asteroids. Now, what they have sent, this what is special about this mission is this mission is not being sent to any planet or sun like these objects. It is actually being sent to an asteroid. It is being sent to an asteroid called, not being sent, it has been sent to an satellite, sorry, asteroid called Bennu. So now it went to Bennu in the spacecraft samples. It was sent in 2020 and it returned with the samples in 2023. So in 2023 it returned with the samples. Now the object was what? So Bennu is a carbon rich primitive asteroid formed in the very early solar system. Understood? This is what Bennu is. It is a carbon rich asteroid formed much before even the sun. Okay, this is being said. Now goal, what was the goal to send this satellite? This was to understand asteroids acted as delivery vehicles for ingredients of life on Earth. This is to understand that if asteroids were the important component which brought life on Earth. This was the aim. Now let's see more about it. So what key components were found in the samples? So life's building blocks. For example, amino acids have been found, nucleobases have been found, and sugars like ribose have also been found. In fact, the 5 most important components of life, that is DNA, RNA, correct, and sugars, nucleobases. So all these 5 components have been actually found on this asteroid. All these 5. Okay, now significance, ribose is a crucial component of RNA, that is genetic material. Now, so basically it also has ancient matter. So this contains pre-solar grains, that is stardust that is older than the sun itself. So it has very old solar grains also present. Then chemistry, so this is rich in complex nitrogen based organic compounds. Now usually when we hear of different kinds of planets, okay, and let's say moon, all these places we are still searching for very basic compounds, that is there some form of carbon, some form of, now here you are seeing almost all the things that are required for life being present here. Okay, so this has been found. And now what has happened recently, so in 2023 they brought this back. Now after that they made this data available to everybody. Now researchers in Japan actually started this research and they found ribose specifically in these samples. Okay, so basically all these people are doing constant research and they are getting new things out of the samples from this asteroid. Okay, then how do these findings impact theories about origin of life? So first is this delivery theory. So it supports the hypothesis that organic molecules were delivered to early Earth by asteroid and comet impacts, because we are seeing an asteroid that is even older than the sun, correct? Now that asteroid has components of life, correct? Now we don't know if components of life came to that asteroid from somewhere else or if that asteroid already had life before Earth. So there is one hypothesis that says that actually life on Earth came when all these asteroids and comets that contained all these important compounds for life formation collided with Earth, and then they gave all these life forms or these important compounds to the Earth. So this is the hypothesis. So this is delivery theory. This is one of the hypotheses of formation of life on Earth. Then RNA world hypothesis. Okay, so because RNA has been very clearly found, okay, so basically the presence of ribose strengthens the theory that RNA preceded DNA in the evolution of life. Because they are finding ribose, so they can say that because there are ribose and it is very old, so that means RNA may be present even before DNA. Okay, then astrobiology, so confirmation that life's ingredients exist commonly in space, not just on Earth. Understood? So not just on earth, all the life ingredients that are there, that are very important, are also available on other parts of the universe. This also it attempts to prove. Of course, this is not a foolproof thing, but usually when we send satellites, we get some data, we are still puzzled about how life was formed on earth, okay, how the universe was formed. So all these basic understanding of space and universe, for this we send mini missions, okay, and this is just pushing this research in the forward direction, because many of the observations, many of the hypotheses that were given by different scientists, like this, like RNA was the first form of life, or life forms maybe, or life forms came maybe from these asteroids or comets. So all that is being shown by the samples. So this is what made it interesting. Okay, so this is it for today's science and tech current affairs. That's it. Thank you.